Hello everybody, my name is El and today's short video will be about Fulgrim, his life and his downfall. I hope you enjoy it. First chapter, Camus. It was a bad planet with little to no resources, transformed into a mining world. Humans had to work in the mines and synthesizers non-stop. There was no time for leisure or art, only for survival. One day, 3 scouts went looking for a recent meteor crash nearby, and they found a pod with a baby inside. And the baby was so beautiful! They were stunned with his beauty. Two of them wanted to keep him. The other one was calling them to reason because they didn't have any extra resources for it. So, long story short, they killed the poor guy and they kept the baby instead. They named him Fulgrim, after a deity in Camus. Since young, Fulgrim started working at the mines. He was capable of doing everything a full adult in Camus could do, and he could do it better, to the point he started modifying the technology and improving it tremendously. At the time of his 15th birthday, Fulgrim had risen to the ranks of leadership on one of the mining colonies. There, he learned of the hardships all of the colonies endured due to the decline of population, technology and resources. Fulgrim put together a team of engineers and sent them to other fortress factories with the goal of reclaiming and repairing most of the ancient technology and machinery that was long forgotten. This vastly increased the production and, for the first time, they had extra resources, giving them the opportunity to have what they long had sacrificed. Fulgrim made sure that everyone could have leisure time and invest in art and luxury. He was now the leader and had a lot of political marriages to assure the loyalty of other fortress factories in Camus. At the start, Fulgrim had actually loved a lot of his first wives, but since he lived longer than any human could, he stopped caring because what was the point? They just kept dying and he was just getting sad for no reason. It was just going to keep happening. So he gave up on that idea for a long time. Second chapter, Terra. One day, the Emperor arrived in Camus. With no hesitation, Fulgrim dropped to his knees and offered his service to the Emperor, who later taught him everything he needed to know about him, Terra and the Great Crusade. He took him to Terra, and arriving there, he discovered that there had been a huge problem with his gene seed, so there were only 200 Astartes of the 3rd Legion there to greet him. Due to the lack of men, Fulgrim was put under Horus. The two became very close since they spent a lot of time together and fighting side by side. When Fulgrim had enough men, he managed to start his journey alone and was always striving for perfection. After a while, in Terra, Fulgrim met who was going to be his best friend, Ferrus. The two met when Fulgrim went to the amazing forge complex under Mount Narodia. Fulgrim was claiming that he was going to make the most perfect weapon to ever be created. Ferrus laughed and doubted the Primarch's abilities. So, the duel started. It lasted 3 months, and the whole time they were just there, together forging the perfect weapon and always while insulting each other, all in good nature though. Fulgrim made the Forgebreaker, a mighty hammer. Ferrus made the Fireblade, an exquisite golden sword. Both Primarchs, impressed with each other's abilities, claimed that the other Primarch weapon was the best. In the end, they exchanged them and then their friendship was sealed. Third chapter, Start of the Downfall. Lyran. It was a water world full of lizard people. They worshipped Slanesh like really hard. Fulgrim didn't even know what that was. He didn't know any of the Chaos Gods. He just thought that the planet would be an amazing asset for the Imperium. Little did he knew that it was just full of corruption. They invaded the planet and started purging all of the Lyre, the lizard people, and they found a temple where the last Lyre were standing, trying to defend it. After defeating them, Fulgrim and his men explored the temple. They found a beautiful sword that was also the physical vessel of a greater demon of Slanesh. He started using the beautiful sword, and the demon started putting thoughts on his head, whispering to him. This was all disguised as his inner thoughts. These whispers started mixing with his insecurities and fears. He started using the new sword more than the blade Ferrus made for him, and when he noticed the demon sword that was within the weapon trying to corrupt him, it was already too late. Horus took a hold of that opportunity and convinced Fulgrim that the one that was holding back humanity from perfection was the Emperor all along. Fulgrim, being very close to Horus and also being corrupted, accepted his brother's idea and turned to heresy and chaos. Later, he tried to convince Ferrus to join them. It didn't end up well and they departed that day as enemies. 4th chapter, Drop Site Massacre. Fulgrim met Ferrus again. They both exchanged some words and then began fighting. Fulgrim using the weapon he made for his brother, the Forgebreaker, and Ferrus using the golden blade he made for Fulgrim, the Fireblade. They delivered furious blows in a hard battle brother to brother. Both were very injured, but Ferrus got the upper hand. He was ready to strike a swift blow to end it, but Fulgrim pulled out the demon blade and deflected it. The blade allowed him to strike his brother multiple times with more force and power than he ever had. Ferrus fell to the ground, his weapon slipping away from his hands. Fulgrim was ready to deal the finishing blow, but he couldn't. At that moment, he realized what he had become. Imperfect, corrupted, and a failure. He wasn't perfect. Everything he strived for was a lie. He was fooling himself all along. His worst fears had become true. He saw Ferrus reaching for the golden blade. He saw the flames forming with his touch, and at that moment the lyre weapon decided to take action. His body was no longer in his control. It was all playing in slow motion in his head. The panic, the desperation, and he tried to stop his muscles from moving, but all he could do was see that the blade that he picked up from that temple on that day, his own choice, an action that he could not undo. He regretted it tremendously. He saw that weapon slice his brother's flesh, and then Ferrus' head on the ground. It was a feeling he didn't feel in a long time. The feeling of losing a loved one. He knew he had felt it before. Maybe when his foster parents died. Maybe when his first wife or the third one died. Long ago, he had stopped caring. He knew he lived longer than any human. But his brother was different. He could actually live with him basically forever. He could finally get attached to someone without the fear of losing them. But he killed him. With his own hands, he killed his best friend. After that, Fulgrim accepted the demon's whispers of forgetting it all in oblivion. The Slanesh demon escaped his weapon and took over Fulgrim's body, his mind never to be seen again.
I'm sorry for the audio change. I forgot to film this before. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is the end of Fulgrim's story, at least for now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.